Good afternoon, welcome back. I've been on a little adventure. I decided to try my hand at sewing on cords and then using different techniques for the covers, and I ended up with this array of books, and they also all utilize some of the medallions that were shared with me by Laura Cresta Murphy, and I have enjoyed finding something with a theme to fit each of the medallions. So I'll just start out. You've seen this book here. It's, like I said, sewn on cords. When we were discussing it last time, I don't think that I mentioned that one of the ways that you have of making the recess so that this leather is smooth with the cover is with a woodworking tool called a jointer that my husband used to create some of these recesses. And that was very useful. Took a lot of the pain out of trying to do anything with that by hand. The shaping of the boards on the inside, where I don't know the best way to see that, it's sloped from about halfway through the thickness of the board to up to the level of where the text block comes in. That was with a plane and some sandpaper. So that is how that worked. My husband had some other different woods, and we made these two with cherry, different leathers. This is just natural goat that I then sprinkled, and everything in here had to do with owls. I have my own marble paper here, and then there are some images of owls throughout the book that I found online that are very pretty. And the colors match the leather, match the end papers quite well, as you can see here. And I just thought it all blended together quite well, but most of it is just pages for writing or journaling. This book, you can see the Celtic design. Victoria Designs came out with some new papers that were all Celtic inspired for the month of March, and I enjoyed using them to add some decorations inside this journal. And once again, the papers, the end papers, and the wood all sort of blended in together quite well. I did have a little bit wider, it's called a square, this overhang on this one. I thought to kind of protect the papers more, but I am not sure that I am that enthralled with it. The last one of the wood cover books, this one is with a wood from Australia called lacewood, and I just thought it was a very, very interesting wood. I didn't think silver went well with this wood, so my husband helped fashion these closures out of brass, and it's a bad angle to try to get that off. I liked the dark green next to it, and I did this one a little differently in that I sewed the text block with what's called a leather hinge. This piece of leather is pared very thinly and goes around, and it's actually sewn on with the text block. And then it came in and filled on here, and part of that was to allow you to see more of this beautiful wood. Also, instead of riveting on these fasteners, he did clinching with a little nail, and you can see how that's bent over and put in, and that makes for a very, very strong connection here for the closure, which was a little bit different than before. The back is still laced through and glued down, but these are not like the ancient books where it was, instead of paper, it was parchment, and parchment reacts to weather, humidity, and shrinks and swells, and they had to have a very tight closure to keep it, keep the papers flat. Once again, I used a lot of owl imagery, but this also has other kind of Celtic, and it's from Victoria Designs, a kit called Ravens and Crows. So all intelligent birds, I guess you would say with that one. Then I decided to do, you sew them exactly the same on the cords, but instead of attaching wooden boards, I attached boards because I wanted to try that out, try a little bit of shaping. This front board here is actually 2 pieces of board. This one is cut out to give you these recesses, and I don't know how well it shows up, but there's a little tooling on the front as well. Now this one's kind of shaped, if you can see here, it's wider here than here, and that is because on this one I sewed in what's called guards, and this is a guard. It's a little piece of paper that's put inside the signature and is left here, and there's a purpose for these guards, and that is that this is going to be my travel journal when I go to Scotland, and if I pick up tickets or little postcards or whatever and I want to include them in the book without overstretching the book, I can just affix them here either with glue, or I usually take washi tape that's wrapped around an old gift card that I can tear off and include things in here that are interesting to me, because a lot of these places that you go and visit, you get these interesting brochures that have their own photographs and things with them that I want to include. So every signature here has a guard in it someplace, and that accounts for the fact that it adds bulk towards the spine, but it's thinner towards the foredge, and so the book is sloped, but by the time I get home it's going to be all leveled out and be more like this one where it's straight across. With your rounding and backing, you should get everything even from spine to foredge. This one is with another Victoria Design kit. She has a lot of things that have to do, and they're currently on sale, with dragons and Gothic themes, and I kind of like all of that, so this one had those kinds of images in it. And I will put a link in the description box to Victoria Designs, to 3 different sources that I used for this wood binding, which includes Arthur Green's video. Karen Hamner has a booklet that you can buy on making a girdle book, but all of the instructions can be applied to this book up until the leather covering, which a girdle book has a long tail on it to put into your belt or girdle. But it also talks about hinges and the proper sewing and everything that you would need to do this book. And then there's another source called Aerial Bindery, and has a printed instructions that I used. And like I said, I'll put the links to all of that below the video. But it's a lot of fun to experiment with something new and see how many different directions you can take it. And I encourage you to try things and just go with it and see what you can work out. Have a great day.